Hey friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com, and yes, I know that I'm due for a historic tarot deck video, but after having done a few videos on the Bosch tarot, it made me think of the Bruegel that I have, and they kind of go hand in hand, is being concurrent in time, the two artists being concurrent, the 1400s. Netherlandish kind of art. And in fact, sometimes Bruegel and Bosch got a little confused. Sometimes their imagery is similar, though not the same. Bruegel seemed to focus on parables. And it seems that the parables are the messages or the morals of each of these tarot cards. Now, another reason why I decided to do the Bruegel, and here's the box by Scarabeo, is because I've learned that it's out of print. So it may interest some of you to see this deck, even if, because you may not be able to buy it anymore. I mean, it's available. You could probably buy it from somebody on eBay, but I've noticed that the price tags were well over $120 higher. So you might appreciate this. Now, like the other Scarabeo deck of Bosch's life, the artwork here is based on Bruegel, not exact art from Bruegel, but based on Bruegel's art. And the artist who put this deck together was Guido Uzibordi Marchesi, or Marchesi. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Now, the box doesn't give me a date. And I notice on the bottom of the box, there's a sticker on top of whatever was on the original box. So I'm not sure what the sticker's covering, and I don't want to tear it off because then I'll damage whatever this was. But the book itself says 2003, and I'll be honest, I don't know how long I've had this deck. I've had it a while. I don't know that I've had it for 20 years, but I've probably had it for at least 10. Anyway, I thought I would flip the camera and show you this very fun deck. So, in keeping with other Scarabeo decks, it comes with a little white book in a few different languages. And it does discuss the art. So it is helpful in that regard. A few additional cards. I imagine that the run comes in 80, so they have to put in 2 extra cards. Seems to be the case for most Scarabeo decks. The second card is other decks and cards, but of course it's irrelevant now because this is already a 20-year-old deck. Here are the backs. Oh my goodness, I am so sorry about that. I don't know what's going on with this thing. It's been kind of wobbly lately. Not too secure. My apologies. Hopefully, they're not out of order. They probably are. Okay, here we have the Fool. And for each of the cards, I think the white book describes the parable that conveys the meaning of the card. So we see quite a few of what we're accustomed to seeing in a Fool card. We see bells, we see a dog, we see somebody with some type of hat. He's got a wind toy bounced on his finger, so we see a nod to, we see a historic reference, to things of the past that we see in other tarot decks. Here's the Magician. female Pope. It's got a beehive on her head as her triple crown, so I'm sure there's a parable about that. The scepter and the globe. She has a candle, a book. There's a dog. And then she's another ruler, right? This one is a fancier scepter and globe, but this one is present nonetheless. More of a secular leader. She could be the neighborhood's, matriarch, right? The emperor. And the Pope has a similar cone head as did the female Pope. His is not the beehive though. This looks more like a beehive. And if you notice, there are bees near her head. That's what that looks like, bees. I like the makeshift veil behind her. Isn't that funny? Now, in true fashion, we have 6 languages. In true fashion of the Scarabeo, we have 6 languages, but they don't bother me so much because they're not on the sides. They're top and bottom. Peace. Look at that. Interesting. So we have justice for 8 rather than fortitude, which a lot of decks put fortitude for 8 rather than justice. So I appreciate that they have this order. Interestingly, the Hermit does not have either an hourglass nor a lantern. It's too bad this deck is no longer in print. So here's the fortitude or strength card, calming down a savage beast, it looks like, right? Didn't we have a similar image in the Bosch? Let me look. Oh, I guess not. I couldn't find it. I could have sworn we saw this image in one of the other Bosch decks, but I guess not. Here's the Hanged Man. Wow, that's kind of a cool death card, huh? Temperance. A lot going on in this Devil card. So multi-layers, here we have, a simple life. Again, another one of those wind toys. Well, I don't know how simple peasant life was. It seems like it was probably very complicated because there were so many things to do and take care of without, modern day help, right? Then we have another layer. She's got a dead chicken. And then, look at that. At the foot of the bed. Oh, that's so crazy. So this has especially up here, it has a very Bosch look to it, doesn't it? And the way this looks more Bruegel. Great tower. And I think this, it probably is referencing the Tower of Babel, because the Tower of Babel, I believe, is known to have like a ramp going around, So this definitely looks like that, with the idea of, vanity before the fall. And that's the message I usually think of first when I see any tower card, even if it doesn't seem to comply with the way the Tower of Babel was built. To me, it's immaterial a little bit. It's more like I get the message, tower, the tower, vanity before the fall, because the card before the Tower card is the Devil card, which can be seen as vanity, right? Things that we do, to pump our ego, or things that we do that aren't good for us, like vices, and especially if these two cards ever would appear in the reading together, I would definitely say, vanity before the fall. Okay, so here we have the Star card, kind of almost, could probably be confused with Fortitude if you weren't paying attention, that the cups, the vessels, aren't going into one another. And then we have the very clear representation of stars. But I can see somebody getting it confused. Wow, look at this lovely moon card. We have the crustacean as a crab. We have the dogs howling. The garments of a king or a monarch. And then individuals beyond a wall. And then a castle. And then, of course, the moon. Here we have the sun. Judgment. Wow, the world, look at that. And now we go into the pips. So far, these trumps, or these triumph cards, are very, very readable in a tarot deck. I can definitely use this set as a tarot deck. Okay, so so a few of them got upside down. So I have, for some reason, the cups. Because this is the order of winter. Okay, I put them in the order of the seasons. So the artist decided that this particular deck, the suit of cups, shall be representative of winter. So I'm not sure if someone who uses Rider-Waite-Smith would be able to coincide or, use these images for what they're accustomed to. We have a castle floating in the air for the Seven of Cups. But if I recall, I used to familiarize myself with each of the parables for each of these cards. And back when I was using this deck, I remembered what they were. I no longer can readily recall the whatever parables are being referenced. I can't remember anymore. But knowing the parable will help you connect the meaning of the card. A very active household. Okay, so then we have the quartz of this suit. Look at this. And we see the back of a horse and the back of the knight, which we see in some of the early Italian decks, I think the Metelli being one of them. Look at that little thing. We have arrows pointing the way. Two different directions. What's back here? A castle in the snow. And the Queen and the King. So here we have spring, and that's associated with the suit of swords. I have a froggy. So there's the blades, they're like scissors, some kind of, and here we have two fellas with two swords. They probably shouldn't have those swords if they're drinking, and they don't look too happy, especially this one. Looks like he's kind of argumentative. So this is kind of more of a menacing idea than I would have normally given the two swords. Well, and the goose or the ducks. So I'm sure there's a parable for that. It's too bad that this deck is out of print because it's quite nice. I think I found it a little challenging to recall every parable. You know, it was a good fresher up, like if you need to refresh your Bible understanding or the parables, you know, in particular. I think it was fun for that, just to learn these things, but I don't retain that information, unfortunately. Here we have a gallows in the background for the Six of Swords. This guy running with something wrapped around him. I'm not sure why. He's about to jump. Oh my goodness. Or he's about to fall. Ooh, life is getting complicated in the Nine of Swords. Oh my goodness. So many clever little touches, you know, so many clever little oddities. I remember I used to enjoy this deck, but I prefer reading straight up tarot. You know, I enjoy learning things. Like I mentioned, I enjoyed learning the references, but they don't stick with me. You know, I don't retain it. But for the art alone, this is so much fun. So is this a reference to Poseidon? I see, like, I don't know what that's supposed to be, but they look like tridents, right? But it's not the suit of water, so I'm not sure. Oh, we got into batons. Oh. I didn't even pay attention. So after the suit of swords came the batons. So this is summer, okay. Oh my goodness, look at the baby in the pot. Oh my goodness, I remember that. And then other babies, like, oh my. Nine and 10 are very industrious. Definitely some news coming to the house. I mean, that's how I would see this. It's like a visitor or news coming. Could be messages as well. Or definitely characteristics of individuals, people. They could identify particular individuals, just like any tarot deck. And this would be fall. He's drowning with his beer. This guy's pointing at the moon or something. Yeah, it's a fun deck. Yeah, too much of a good thing is a good thing, huh? Maybe not. All hell cuts loose here. So we don't have the happiness of a typical 10 of coins, right? We kind of see like too much of a good thing maybe isn't a good thing. So here's that Bruegel deck. I don't know if any of you were interested in purchasing it, but it will be a little hard to do since it's out of print. And I just thought since it might not be such an easy deck to get your hands on, you might enjoy seeing a run through. Until next time, friends, peace and stay well. And my next video will be a historic tarot deck. I'm going to break the trend that I've been on like for the past week or so to get back to what I think you probably want to see. Maybe more Metelli or a Hess. I think maybe a Hess deck. We'll see.